Well, good morning. Gosh,
Good morning.
Vicky and Kim and Jenny. And you may see we have a studio audience this year, or this
Yes.
year,
Today.
today, because it's that time of year. So if you see some of our Miller moths flying around, I had the studio door closed yesterday for a few days. And when I opened it this morning and turned the lights on, man, they went nuts. And you guys that can't tell, maybe we have a big I don't know what you call that, a big photography light over here. It's about
Yeah.
4 feet, 5 feet in diameter. They like that light, man.
It's
They were
bright.
they were beating on that. Hey, Dennis knew it was Friday or it was Monday, Wednesday, or Friday, and hopped on. Good to see you, man. I bet you Dennis's plans for this weekend include some outdoor work of some kind.
Yeah, because it's so nice to work outdoors in the
Yeah.
heat and humidity.
I didn't say it was all day. He may
Yeah.
have already been working outside this
That's
morning
true. Yeah.
and get out. One of the toughest things when I was in the Metroplex, I always ended up with St. Augustine, which if you skip a week mowing that, you're going to have to raise your mower and mow it a couple of times to get it back down because it's so thick. The only time I could mow before it got too hot was Saturday mornings at 7. I bet my neighbors loved me.
Oh, yeah.
So and even at 7, I was pushing it off till 7. Even at 7, by the time I got done, it was so hot and humid. I was just spent for the day. So
Don't have that problem here. Yeah,
no,
we don't even have to mow.
man, weed eat. I need to weed eat. I've got some nice tall weeds around the house. Um, and if you could do me a favor, if you could send some of your wildlife my way, that instead
I
of
would
eating
love to. Yeah.
instead of eating your rosebuds, if you could get them to come and keep my weeds down, that would be nice. We
I'll
we
let them know.
well we have deer and elk, but we have apples on the tree, and so they're too busy eating the apples. They're not worried about the grass right now.
I see.
So
Yeah, we have the feral horses roaming our street too.
oh, I haven't seen them not this year. But
Oh, yeah.
if they're there, I can tell they've been there because
They leave evidence.
that's a little bigger. That's a little bigger than the milk
Yeah.
duds that the elk leave behind.
That's right.
We're glad you guys are on. So we're talking today about what we talked about Sunday. So um, the try to find a good way to put it. I thought I had kind of cleared it up well, but got to the end of the series and realized from talking with some people that I didn't wrap it up well. And that kind of felt like I left them hanging.
So what are you gonna do?
Well, that was so coming into last week.
Yeah.
so talked last week, kind of wrapped it up. Um, I'll tell you what, and then I've got one more wrap up to do this week.
So you're not done wrapping it up, is what you're
I
saying.
thought I was. I wrapped it up. I'm gonna have to put the bow on it this time.
Okay.
So here's what we talked about last week. So last week we talked about that we can be clear even if we aren't certain of the details, right? Has it ever happened to you before? Like you don't know all the details, but you at least have a good clear direction, right? And
Right.
that happens a lot of times as we go to conferences or trainings or stuff. Um, and I've got the basic outline, so I know what time the plane leaves, where it lands. I've got my car reservation, which didn't work out so well for me last time. Last time I went to the training in Houston, my luggage went to Orlando, Florida, and I didn't get my rental car till the day before we left. Got my luggage the night before we left,
Yeah.
which was weird.
Had a couple recent trips like that myself.
Yeah. So we might know some of the things, but you don't know all the details, till you get there, and you just that's just the way it is. That's hard for us because for some of us, we like to know the details,
Mhm.
right? If I said, "Hey, we're going to go to a conference," you would say, "What's it about?" Well, first knowing you,
Yeah.
when is it?
When is
Because let
it?
me see if I can get that in. What's it about? What's the cost? When are we leaving?
How are we going to get there?
Yeah, I mean, I like to know all those things, and it's not bad to know those things, but sometimes we just don't. That was a fun trip. Yeah, yeah. Vicky got to. They were all so sweet. I was kind of bummed out. But we got to go to Walmart, and I got to buy some socks and underwear. Um, I didn't have my luggage. They went to Orlando. They took a vacation without me. Anyhow, they were all kind and nice as I grumped a little bit. As a church, especially where we are right now in the life of our church, there are so many details that we just don't know yet, because we've spent the better part of this year reimagining church in a new world, right? Cloudcroft has changed. There's some, I don't know with Cloudcroft. I mean, working with the chamber, the way we work with the chamber is different. There's different people in the chamber. In the chamber office, it's different people. The process that we do things or used to do things has changed. The village has changed. The village office has changed. We need to get some motor vehicle department work done, and the sign up there says that it's closed basically until further notice. Yeah. As we just enter into this time in the church, there's just a lot of details we don't know. You know, what's this going to look like? I don't know, because we're in that process of reimagining. So I just really felt like Sunday, what I needed to do was to tell them the things that we can be clear about, so we can be clear about the direction. So here's the things that I said. One, we're going to continue to update our facilities. I mean, that's something we've lagged on for a long time. We're a couple of weeks out, hopefully, from having the exterior finished. They're supposed to come Monday, put windows in. That was last I heard yesterday. Come put windows in, then the stucco guys are going to come finish, then they're going to do the trim and stuff. Also the stairs in the back, they're going to redo. So that'll be done hopefully in a couple of weeks. Immediately after that, we're going to look for some big muscle guys and tear up the concrete, the sidewalk that's been eaten up, from years and years of salt. And we're going to cap. So we're going to re-pour the concrete and cap the stairs. And this may sound like, if you haven't seen those or haven't paid attention or noticed, oh, good morning, Jose. They look terrible. They're just kind of crumbling, And it's not like it could be a trip hazard. It's not as much that as it just looks neglected. The other thing we're going to do, and they measured for that yesterday, is we're going to redo the up close parking. So the parking lot over on this side is the villages. So we're going to try to work with them to get some more of that up close parking taken care of, nice and, level and striped. But we're going to pave the parking lot over here. You know where I'm talking about?
Yep.
And the up close parking, I say pave, it'll be asphalt. The up close parking on this side of the building in this parking lot.
Okay.
Stripe it. I think they said we can get 40 more spaces out of that. I think that's just an estimation. What did he say?
Concrete handicap.
Oh. So we actually the ramp that we have is those are made out of Trex, so those will stay Trex. But the rest of it, the concrete, the sidewalk is what we're replacing, and the steps on the side. We're not going to do handicap for there, not because we don't care about handicap, but that space only leads you to that space. And if we did a handicap that would go up that high, a ramp, it would probably extend almost to the other entrance if we did from those steps that way.
Yeah. Okay.
So for that middle door, we're probably not. We'll just get some good strong guys that can just pick people up and set them on there.
Have a hoist.
Because if you get there, because we actually talked about that a long time ago, if you get there with a handicap ramp, that's the only place you can go. the coffee areas, I mean, you got 2 steps down to get to the sanctuary, and there's a handicap ramp to that.
Right.
And you got a bunch of steps down if you come the other way to go to the classrooms. Anyhow, um, and those are just the things right now we know. We're going to continue to keep a list of projects in the pipeline. So we've got the next thing we can be working on, the next thing we can be working on, but we want to be continually that we just want to make that the mode. When are we going to be finished? Never. If we built a new building, then we would still continually update our facility. So that's one direction that we know. Oh, when it first popped up, Jose, it didn't have the thumbs up. I thought you sent us a blank message. We're going to continually update our facilities. So we just want that to be the mode so that we don't get behind and have wood falling off and stuff. The second thing that we're going to do is we're going to explore the name change. So, and that's actually a big one that we'll talk more about on Sunday. That's why I'm extending my wrap up. That's the bow that goes on the wrap up.
Ah, okay.
Explore the name change. And Sunday, what we're going to get into, because the question that we got when we sent the survey out, not from a huge amount of people, but from enough that makes me think I need to talk about this some more, is why a name change. And the essence of it, that the basic of it, we'll hit this and more on Sunday, is just like with updating the facilities, and this is going to be huge, the exterior renovation, we want the outside to reflect what's happening on the inside. We want it to match. And so just like, we want the outside to look maintained and cared for and a bit more modern, that matches what's happening on the inside. That's who we are. We're not, this church was founded in 1901. That's over 120 years old, right? 123. Is that what I got?
Yep.
And so we want the outside to reflect who we are on the inside. We'll talk more about that. I mean, Sunday, that's going to be big. The why is going to be big, but that's the main part. We want our name to reflect who we are. And there are some reasons that it was named First Baptist Church that made a lot of sense in 1901.
What were those reasons?
You want me to give away my message?
Oh,
I'll tell you some. That comes from a time in the 1800s. That's when this started. In the 1800s, think Little House on the Prairie kind of time. There were no cars, horse and buggy, and the next closest town might be 30 miles away, which isn't 30 minutes. It's not even 30 minutes in the mountains. 13 miles is almost 30 minutes just to get to Sybil's camp. So if you can imagine how long you would have to travel. So in other words, each town was pretty much just self-sufficient. You might only go to the next town once a month or something. So the fact that there might be a First Baptist Church in this town and a First Baptist Church in the other town didn't even matter, because that was a whole different world. The reason they named it First Baptist Church is because if there was another Baptist church, guess what they expected the name to be?
second.
Absolutely. That they named it, we're the first. It would be like you have two sons.
Mm-hmm.
You've got number one and number two.
Thing one and thing two.
Thing one and thing two.
Right.
I know you kids. That might work. So that was just it. It was just it's a Baptist church. This is the first one. If we get another one, it'll be the second one. I do know of Second Baptist churches. That actually is still true. First Baptist, it wasn't true then. They're pretty much the same. I mean, I guess different people, different pastor, they're going to be different, but it was just a number that this one's the first one. That one will be the second one. If somehow we have three, that'll be the third one. There probably weren't. They weren't concerned too much about it being three Baptist churches, and most towns couldn't handle that. Was talking to a friend of mine who's Presbyterian, and said because he laughed. I said, okay, First Baptist churches traditionally, that was where, if you were a Baptist, you go to the First Baptist Church. That's where, what's the way I want to put it? Well, that's typically where the wealthy people went. That's the country club set. In fact, you probably, if you were members of First Baptist Church, you're probably also members of the country club. And that was true with Cynthia. I mean, her dad was, hospital administrator, traveled around. He was troubleshooter. But they always were members of First Baptist Church and always members of a country club. My friend laughed and he said, my parents went to First Presbyterian and they were members of the country club. So it's not just that. First Methodist, probably the same thing. But that was the First Baptist churches. But go ahead.
So the Second Baptist Church was like the overflow.
It was the second one that they were.
That's right. If the first one fills up, you can go to the second one.
Maybe, yeah. What he told me was he knows of a 10th. So First Presbyterian, 10th Presbyterian.
Really?
Yeah, I forget the official title of that, but that's back east where Presbyterians are more prominent. The Presbyterian denomination is. So anyhow, that was the start. It was very plain, very simple, very pragmatic. It's a whole different world since 1901, 123 years later. Is that what I said? We need to celebrate 125th. We need to start working on that. But it's a whole different world. It's a different mindset, different reasons for naming churches these days. And so, but First Baptist Church, that's where it came from. Towns were totally separated, independent, much further away, even though mile wise maybe not, but because of the mode of transportation and the immobility of most people back in that day, there were a lot of people who never left their hometown, in the 1800s. I mean, except for the ones that, go west, young man kind of thing, traveled west. So that the name had meaning. It was a very practical, pragmatic meaning that it had then. Of course, then they put Baptist so that they knew it was Baptist, not Methodist or Presbyterian.
Got it.
So that's where the name came from. So we're going to explore the name change. I'm going to talk more about that this Sunday. The reasoning why and kind of what we're looking for and what we want in a name. But then the last thing that I said we were going to do, the direction, is to cultivate a culture of change. So in there, what I want us to do is to observe, evaluate, and adapt in everything we do. We already begun doing this. I've done it with two ministries already. One, a women's ministry team, and the other one, library, which we're going to change the name of to resource center. It'll be something like that. But because the reason for that has changed. What we're going to ask every ministry, but we'll work through this with the men's ministry. What's the purpose? Right? So what's the purpose of the men's ministry? And I really want those to tie in with the purpose of the church. And then not even just what's the overall purpose of the men's ministry, but what's the purpose of the men's Bible study? What are we aiming for on Tuesday nights? What are we aiming for on Thursday mornings? Because if you aim for nothing, you'll hit it every time. But that constant kind of thing, and that's not a one and done thing. I want every year, ministry alignment is kind of my term for it. I want every year for us to do that. When you buy your car, hopefully the front end is aligned, right?
I would hope.
And that stays that way for the entire life of your car, right?
If properly maintained.
But maintained is you gotta have that checked occasionally. And around here for a while, we had a lot of big potholes. I found some more taking
Oh.
somebody home. Good grief, because
That's a never-ending project.
Yeah, yeah. So, and there was somewhere else I was coming out of. Man, there's some terrible. I hit some. You hit a pothole. You hit a curb. There are things that can knock you out of alignment with your car, or just over time, just the normal wear and tear, it may get out of alignment. You're in defense business, work for the DoD. That would be Julie. That is the street I was thinking when I took Brisa home. I was like, good grief. I told her, I said, they need to fix your street. She goes, I think my mom already called them. So when you fire a missile, right? You aim it and you shoot it, and that's all you got to do, right?
Sometimes.
If it's 4 feet away, if you can aim a missile and shoot it with no other adjustments, you're pretty good if you get very far out. The further away, the reason it's hard to hit a target with a gun far away is because to know that I've got that aimed exactly where it needs to go, and to account for the natural things. I mean, gravity's a deal.
Mm-hmm.
You've got wind, you've got humidity, you've got all these other factors that can determine the trajectory or alter the trajectory of an object. Most of the missiles that we have, all of them that I can think of these days, but you know more than I, adjust along the way.
They're guided.
You lock onto a target. It's not a fire. It is fire and forget from our standpoint, but that's because all the adjustments happen within the missile. You lock onto your target, and it has to adjust. I mean, especially if it's a moving target. I mean, if you're firing at a missile air to air or even ground to air, that's a moving target. So anyhow, ministry is like that as well. Things happen in church like that as well. So every year, I want us to come back and make sure that our ministries are aligned. And so that's something that I spent more time explaining it than I intended. But how can we help do that? I mean, what does that mean for us as individuals? You guys chime in and tell us too. What does that do for us mean for us as individuals in a church if we're going to have to continually update our facilities, if like Explore Name Change is kind of a part of that, you know, making sure that we're I don't know a good word. I wanted to make it sound like we're trendy, but that we stay in touch and engage with our culture, with our community, and that we cultivate a culture of change. What does that mean for us as individuals? Well, first of all, let me ask, what happens if a church doesn't do that? Have you guys seen any churches that do everything the same way that they did in the 50s? It fades away. They certainly become, if you had a church, well, I don't know, you might draw a particular crowd. A church that did everything the same way that they did it in the 50s, everything, that they would be irrelevant basically to the culture and community. Now there may be an appeal. I know some of you guys are probably thinking, bring back what were those things called? What were the skirts called that the girls? I'm thinking of Happy Days. There was a name for the skirts that the girls wore. Pony skirts is what comes to mind. Poodle, that was it. Not a pony, but a poodle. Poodle skirts. Have to bring back the Brill cream to keep our hair slicked back, you know. I'll put that back on. Man, do you notice like that camera is having trouble adjusting with the auto exposure?
Yeah.
That the church will eventually die.
Yeah. It'll struggle, and then it will die.
Because when we don't stay connected and engaged with culture, now I have to be careful when I say this. I don't mean that we let culture influence us, even though that happens so much. It's so easy to happen. But Yeah, if we just maintain, there's no such thing as maintain. Yeah, I mean, right? You have to grow. I've tried it with I don't know how many dogs and how many cats. They're so cute when they're tiny, and I just that's so cute, and then they get big. I've got one. He's my cat. He's gray, and that's his name too. And he follows me around the house. Everyone in my Hope and Hillary, Hope and Cynthia think it's hilarious. When I go in the bathroom, he follows me in, and so I come back out carrying him like a baby, and he's big. He's a big cat, and he's like laying like this. So I wish he could have stayed little because that was cute. And then we got little dogs, but the little dog got bigger. So you can't do that. Um, Churches aren't bonsai trees. So anyhow, they'll die. They become irrelevant when you disconnect from culture. You can't reach the culture. I mean, you can't reach the people in the community if you're not connected with them.
Yeah, things are changing all around us, and we can say we're not going to change, but a church changes whether you want it to or not. I mean, we're not going to last forever. There's going to be hopefully new people coming in. There's a constant turnover of congregation. There's a different congregation now than there was 20 years ago.
Not everybody is alive.
Yeah.
Now that was here 20 years ago.
That's right.
That's one of the just the natural attrition.
Right. So they say, the saying is the only constant is change.
Mm-hmm.
And so let's make sure that if we're going to change, we are making deliberate changes.
Be intentional about it. One of the things that for me heading into this year, it was January the 1st or 2nd that I realized I'm tired of being uncomfortable when I bend over to tie my shoes. So if my body is going to change, and it has, we're not as young as we used to be. I don't know if you know. You probably don't know that. You stay active. If my body's going to change, I want it to change the way I want it.
Mm-hmm.
So let's be intentional about the way it's going to be, adapting the community with the Lord. Yeah, you're gonna have to. You're just gonna have to. It will change. Leave a house alone for a year and come back and see if it's just like it was when you left it. It's not.
It'll probably be moth infested.
Yeah, that one of the things. You might find some other critters in there too. So we have to do that. We really just have to. The name is going to be a big part of that. The facilities, I think, is a big part of that. But the other big part of that is making sure that our ministries are aligned with our purpose. I'm looking forward to doing this with the men's ministry. And I'll tell you, I believe our men's ministry is going in the right way. It might just be that we just need to put that in words. So that we can tell, hey, what's your men's ministry about? Man, I tell you, and in a sentence, our purpose statement, mission statement needs to be clear, concise, and communicated. Wouldn't it be great? Hey, guys, tell me about your men's ministry. If we could tell them in a sentence. What about the Bible studies? Tell them in a sentence. Because the two Bible studies we have pretty different.
Yes.
Part of that is one of them meets at 6:30 in the morning. You get a whole different group of guys.
Yep.
Although we're getting new guys, but one of the new guys goes, "Oh man, I was planning on coming Thursday morning and just got up, and they had some other things happen, and totally spaced." So getting in the habit of coming is different. Well, thanks for listening to us kind of ramble. Back to what can we do? I think the best thing we can do is to it's a slight change in thinking maybe, but to realize that we need to continually evaluate. We should be doing this in our life. When we read the Bible, what does God say? Where are we? How do we align with what God says? That continually we do that in our lives. Always we're continually growing and changing and asking God, what do I need to start? What do I need to stop? Who do I need to talk with? We've been talking about that in men's Bible study, but also to bring that into the church. Just realize I'm not here for me. Yeah, what does the word ministry communicate to unchurched people? I'll tell you one of the things that's happened in culture that blows my mind, and I'm talking to people who I know are not believers, they're not Christians, and it's in a business type of sense. They use the word outreach all the time. I mean, the Forest Service has a community outreach program. The police departments have community outreach, or law enforcement community outreach programs. So that would be interesting to find out what the word ministry means to communicate to unchurched people. From other countries, it would be part of the government, the Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Health. Many other countries do that. Yeah. We like departments. Yeah. Well, let me pray for you guys since we've gone a little bit over. Good weekend. I
think so.
I've got some chill things that I need to do. Some more work on the travel trailer. I'm so glad that quick little rabbit. You can shoot him pretty fast, but got it back from the camp. You know, we took it to camp out, stayed there for a few nights, couple of nights. Got it back from there. Made a place right next to the house, so pulled it in, and I thought, well, I may as well go ahead and level it, stabilize it while it's here. And I'm cranking the jack that I actually had to replace a pin in to get it to the campground. I'm cranking the jack, cranking it, trying to get it level. Actually, I think I was trying to bring the front end down, and it goes boom. So there's some gears inside of the jack that broke. So I'm gonna have to replace the jack.
Yeah, that's not good.
Yeah, it's a 1996 travel trailer, so it's due. It's coming up on 30 years old, and I'm sure that's the original. So I'm going to replace it with an electric one. So no
more cranking, huh?
For a little over $100, and the battery is right there by it, so it's going to be easy to hook up.
For a little over $100, you can stop getting your exercise.
Yeah. Well, I can only use my right arm. I can't crank it with my left. I don't want to look like Popeye, get the big. So I'll get my exercise in a more intentional way.
Okay, there you go.
So anyhow, let me pray for you guys. Lord, thank you for your love. Thank you for using us. Thank you for God allowing us to be part of your plan to bring the gospel to the world, to share with them the good news of Jesus. Help us, God, to always be looking for ways to do that. God, I remember talking with a teacher not long ago that said, my favorite thing about teaching is just sitting around dreaming up how to make learning interesting for the students. God, would you give us that kind of passion for sharing the gospel with people? Lord, help us or give us the desire to want to sit around and think of ways that we can reach out to a lost and dying generation with the gospel, the good news. God, would you help us do it in a way that brings you honor and glory and brings people to faith in Jesus? For it's in your name we pray. Amen. Thank you guys for jumping in, and we'll see you on Monday. I've been remoting in. I'm going to start doing that with the girls on Monday because they're like, we're so tired. So I can really keep them. They like doing that with you guys. So maybe let them jump in sometime with you.
Okay.
Everything has changed here, so I'm going to click here. Get ready to click all the right buttons. Love you guys. Don't miss Sunday's message. If you do, go back and watch it.
That's right. He's wrapping up for the third time.
No, the second. I wrapped it up last week. I'm putting a bow on it this week.
I thought you wrapped it up 2 weeks ago.
I thought so too, but that's just me. Love you guys. We'll see you on Sunday.